Championship game, 49ers at the Eagles. The Eagles, by the way, are favored by 2.5 points. We've talked about when the Eagles have the ball. How about when the 49ers have the ball? And important injury news from Wednesday. Christian McCaffrey, star running back, calf injury, did not practice. Elijah Mitchell, groin injury, did not practice. Deebo Samuel, ankle injury, limited to practice on Wednesday. I don't think that affects the question of whether or not these guys are going to play, but it makes sense to watch the injury report because, again, the 49ers are only as good as their ability to put their best players on the field. And the guy at the center of the storm between Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, Elijah Mitchell, George Kittle, Kyle Juszczyk, who makes cameo appearances, but not very often, not with all these other guys. It's hard to get the ball to 44 with all these other guys. Yeah. It's Brock Purdy.
Right.
Biggest road game of his career. Yep. He's only had 2 road games.
Yeah, it's amazing.
In all those starts, he's played 8, started 7. Twice on the road. It helps to have 2 playoff games at home. But they went to Seattle back in Week 15 for a Thursday night. That's the closest approximation, Chris, to what he's going to be facing in Philadelphia with the season on the line. And we don't know. They don't know. No one knows. Brock Purdy doesn't know how he's going to respond and perform in that environment. That's one of the great unknowns of this contest.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, it's the one guy we're all looking at. Yeah, Seattle, that stadium, that crowd there, it's loud. It's as loud as any in football. So that's a good, experiment. The problem is, or, a good, prepared experience there at least. But the problem is the Seahawks defense ain't going to be on the field. That's the problem. It's going to be the Eagles, and they're in a whole different world than the Seattle Seahawks on the defensive side of the ball. And this is a great defense. And, yeah, Brock Purdy's been really good. We know that. But this is a different test in an environment, a creative defense, and a defense that, again, is not getting enough attention for how good it's played. We're talking about the Niners as the number 1 defense in football. The Eagles are right behind it as the number 2 defense in football. And, not getting the credit for only being the second best, sack team in the history of football behind the 85 Bears. I mean, a stat like that, and I feel like it's amazing that it's just people don't talk about them that much. We don't even really talk about their pass rush. So that's, to me, one of the huge parts of this football game, Mike, a little bit. And again, I'm never one to just go, well, it's about running the football, right? But we know the 49ers are not a QB-centric team. It is about running the football. And if they have to drop back and throw the ball too much in this environment versus this defense and that pass rush, I can't imagine that that's going to be a good recipe for the 49ers. So that's really one of the biggest key to the game, in my opinion.
Well, and I agree. Let's hear a little bit, Kyle Shanahan, on how when they went to Seattle for Week 15 for that Thursday night game, they knew, they were aware, they were planning for the reality that they may go to Philadelphia for the NFC Championship. Here's Shanahan on how they used that game to get ready for what's coming on Sunday.
We'll do the same thing we did that week. I mean, that was huge just because that was our first game really all year that it was that important. And Brock kind of had experience with it. And so it was great to have that, especially with us going to Philly. I remember us talking about that week, that we needed that. We needed that rep in case we ended up in the NFC Championship at Philly, and we got that, and I'm very fortunate that we did, and I feel we're good to go. He knows what to expect. He knows how we do it, and we'll give him reps at it all week, but he got it ready on just a Wednesday when he played Thursday, so I feel it won't be an issue this week.
Just crank up the
crank it up.
Cranking up the music, make it loud, get Brock Purdy ready to go. And I think one of the keys this week for the 49ers, Chris, is to make sure Brock Purdy doesn't think at all about what this game means to his football career.
Right.
Better said than done.
Yeah.
Or easier said than done, as the cliche goes. Because look at it this way. If he has, and we've seen it before in big stakes playoff games. I think back to Carson Palmer, 2015. Playing for the Cardinals against the Panthers. Remember he had that 6-turnover meltdown against the Panthers, the game that vaulted Carolina to the Super Bowl. We saw Jake Delhomme in the divisional round in 2008, same 2 teams. Playing for the Panthers, he had 6 turnovers in a Saturday night when the Cardinals upended the Panthers to move on. If Purdy has a bad performance, multiple turnovers, bad mistakes, etc., that opens the door to somebody else being the starter next year, whether it's somebody currently on the roster or somebody not currently on the roster, Tom Brady. So I would want to do everything I could to not allow Brock Purdy to think about the implications of this specific game on his future as the 49ers quarterback.
Yeah, I hear that. Just hey, you got, hopefully you just keep the focus on the Eagles, right? And don't worry about your legacy or where you stand. You got to play, and let's just worry about this play against the Eagles defense and get us in the right play and make sure you make the right check. And I think he's a guy that's shown he can certainly block some of that or all that noise out and focus. Now, where I do think it's different, than last week than this week, right? Where the Cowboys match up. As we were texting during the game on Sunday with the Cowboys and Niners, I got the sense of the game as I was watching, let alone when I watched it back on film, that it was a very conservative game plan by the 49ers. I really came away from the game going, they played the game because they felt like they were better than the Cowboys, and as long as Micah Parsons or DeMarcus Lawrence didn't get a strip sack fumble or something like that, they knew they could win the game. They can't do that this week. You can't just go, well, we're going to be conservative against the Eagles and we'll still win the game. No. I think if your defense plays great, the Eagles still going to score 20, I think. So that's where I think they're going to have to ask him to be a little more aggressive and probably be a little more aggressive in the pass game than we saw last week, just because they know there's an offense on the other side that, their defense isn't just going to shut down like they did the Cowboys offense.
Yeah, I think that's a damn good point because, look, we spent so much time focusing on what the Cowboys did wrong against the 49ers. The bottom line is the Cowboys played the 49ers tougher than I thought they would. I thought the 49ers were the dramatically better team. Not that they were going to win 38-7, but the fact that it was as close as it was surprised me. And there is more pressure on the offense.
There is.
This Eagles defense is better suited to bottling up Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel. Not that you can ever completely shut them down, but at some point, you're right. Brock Purdy's got to find Brandon Ayuk, got to find George Kittle, got to stretch the field a little bit.
Yes.
Got to keep his wits about him. When that rotation of badasses that the Eagles have.
That's right.
That they have, and this is the game.
This is the
that
badass
they unleashed them for. I think back to 5 years ago, what that rotation did to the Vikings and how they were able to break the game open. Because it was close at first. The Vikings actually led 7-0, but the Eagles were relentless defensively, and that's what the 49ers need to guard against. And I feel like this is one of those where whatever happens in this game, we're going to say the next day, well, that makes sense. We should have seen that coming.
Right.
Whatever the outcome, however it goes, right? Brock Purdy doesn't play well. We should have seen that come against the Eagles defense. The 49ers win. Well, we should have seen that coming. They're a team of badasses. Roll out of bed, run through a brick wall. They do it against everybody, even the Eagles in their own building with a Super Bowl on the line. I mean, however, it's like both games. I don't know how.
They're as even as I can remember. Yeah, it's as even as I can remember. As far as just picking them, again, I know anything can happen and whatever else, but yeah, it's two games evenly matched, and then two have their own. The AFC is a little bit, hey, we know they're both good on the lines and all that, but it's a little bit more about the skill players. The NFC, back to your point, is about big mofos who kick ass up front. That's where the NFC is. It's like old school NFC. It's like it was back in the late 80s or early 90s. I mean, again, my barometer a little bit. A fight breaks out between all 32 teams. The Eagles and the 49ers are going to be in the final 4 or 5. I can promise you that. They're one of those teams, when you look at them, you go, holy shit, how many big people do they have? This is unbelievable. I mean, they do, both of them. So, that's going to be interesting part of it, too. And with Brock Purdy, we know the 49ers, their ability to run, is the number one thing they do. I don't know. Like you said, this is a different group. We're talking about an all-time defensive line right now who's got versatility as far as big people to stop the run and fast people to start the rush. And Mike, and they got, a guy in Jonathan Gannon, a defensive coordinator who took some flack in Philadelphia, rightly so, because I think he was a little too simple last year and maybe earlier this year. But, Nam, I watched their defense this last half of the year. They do, like we were talking about with Lou Anarumo, they do everything. And I want to show you a few plays because I know we got a little package ready for what we saw, or what we might see. But there's a 5-man front. This is what they can rush 5 and they can play man behind it. Let's start that over if you can rewind it one time real quick. Right? So 5-man, you go, wait, I don't want to run the ball against this look. But what they want to do is if you do pass it, they have confidence in their corners to lock you up. They're a good man team. And then they go, wait, one of our guys is going to win one of these one-on-one matchups. And, of course, this is why they're second all-time as far as sacks in a season. So there's the 5-man rush, 5-man look. Here's another. I'm going to show you another play, 5-man look. And you're going, oh, wait, but they're going to drop out and then blitz another guy. And they're going to be under with a 4-man rush and play a zone, but they understand how to attack your protection rules. And you're going to see those guys drop out. One of the nickelbacks blitz. And they are well coached in knowing, wait, this is where this guy likes to throw the ball hot. And they understand and read their keys. And they are very versatile. Guys like Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat, they can drop into coverage and be a real pain in the butt too. So you don't ever know which 5 are coming. Is it these guys, that guys, who's going to drop? And that's where they're a handful, let alone the talent is good too. And that's why this matchup is awesome.
And good luck if you're a rookie quarterback.
Well, that's what we're saying here.
Real time.
Right.
Making those decisions.
Right.
And I know that Kyle Shanahan basically likes to run his offense, run his quarterback like a kid with a controller playing Madden.
Yeah.
It's going to be harder to do against that Eagles defense. It's going to be hard for Kyle to do against. Even if the quarterback does everything that Kyle tells him to do, it's still not work.
That's where he's going to have to rely on the
return.
Screens and reverses and speed sweeps a little bit to help out, right? That's where they're really good. So, hey, I don't know what they're going to be, but here's a Debo screen like we saw in the NFC Championship game last year against the Rams, right? Those plays will become effective for them. And maybe then they can simplify Philadelphia a little bit where they go, whoa, we can't do all this crazy crap because we got to be a little more sound in the right spots here because they're exposing us a little bit, and it's something to watch for. Sorry for cutting you off there.
Get them on their – no, that's fine. Get them on their heels, blow up their creativity, force them to go back to meat and potatoes because they're getting their ass kicked there.
Right.
And that gets back to what the 49ers are. They just kick your ass with the simple things and take away your ability to do the fancy stuff.
Exactly.
You're too busy recovering from the last play where you just got run over by one of those guys in gold helmets, and that's what the 49ers bring to the table. But we're doing the picks pod later. I'm going to have a hell of a time picking a winner in the NFC Championship. I've already pre-picked my winner in the AFC because I declared that on Monday. NFC, tougher. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.